War Report coming live every Tuesday at 7 with Steve, Cat, Ryan, Amanda, and Eric. And the voice of NEW, Vince Berry. Hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out Smackdowns, follow on IG+. It's sponsored by Tag Me a Date. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space. Now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats.
I'm sorry, I like this song.
The Ayatollah of rock and roller.
I shouldn't. Everything in my body tells me I shouldn't like that.
I'm actually not a very big fan of Jericho's music. That's just not my thing. But I actually do enjoy this song, and I think it's a great theme for him in AEW, as well as the new Click, whatever the fuck they're called.
The Inner Circle.
The Inner Circle, yeah, thank you. So, all the guys in the Inner Circle that made the list.
Les champions.
So, but I figure maybe change it up a little bit. We're always opening the show with a little WWE action. Maybe it's time we open up with a little AEW. And, yeah, so...
I sent that message through to Ryan, by the way. I want to find out the answer to this. Sorry for Inside Baseball. There's always people making this podcast, so... I had a question, technical question. We won't get into it now because I don't want Ryan to tinker with anything and then we have to restart the stream. Not that happened last week or anything.
No, never.
That didn't happen. No. Oh, man. So, welcome to the War Report, brought to you by TagMeADate.com, the first and only dating site exclusively for fans of professional wrestling. My name is Vince Barry. I'll be your host this evening as I move my microphone closer and closer to my big fat face. If you sign up for TagMeADate.com, it's absolutely free with our roster of over 75,000 superstars and divas. You, too, can find your tag team match on TagMeADate.com. Of course, this is the War Report. We've got a lot to talk about this week. As per usual, we all went through a marathon of 3 hours. Well, except for Steve, who was playing the new WWE 2K game. But you can sit through the Monday Night Raw. And then SmackDown, AEW, which for those of you who are waiting for our favorite YouTube shows, 605, which already happened, NWA Power is up on YouTube, ready to go. And AEW Dark will be ready at the end of this program. So once you're done listening to War Report, you can catch up on all the wrestling that is happening tonight before we get NXT and AEW tomorrow on their respective networks, USA and TNT. It's so weird to say that there's competing wrestling shows on TNT and USA Network, because that's just how it used to be.
It's just bringing us back to the days, the glory days of being a pro wrestling fan.
And the fact that the other person, one of the other people on the competing brands commentary is Tony Schiavone. So.
How fucking strange is that?
Friend to the show, Tony Schiavone.
Friend to the show, that's right. We have the
promoter of Tag Me a Date.
Seriously, if he's got
the War Report.
That's right. He and his cameo. And not to give the guy a plug, but what the hell? His cameo was pretty cheap. I think it was only $15 when I did it. So it should. Honestly, if you're listening, Tony, now that I've already bought one, you should be charging more than $15. What the fuck is wrong with you, man? You're a goddamn legend.
Well, he probably will. He probably will now.
Yeah. Now he's on TV, it's probably
it's our fault now.
Right? Well, I think once people might have seen, because he's already done quite a fair few. I mean, he's done so many. You can go to the cameo page, and the ones like ours is public, because I don't give a shit. But there's some that they keep private for personal stuff, have birthdays and whatever. But some people leave it public, and like, it's Tony. Tony's doing this new thing where he does parody rap lyrics over the rap song.
That's awesome.
Podcast. So now he's doing them like, yeah, he's doing all kinds of crazy shit. He's rapping, he's singing. It's crazy. It's great. And he's on AEW. So what the fuck? I mean, it's all coming together.
So I think we should really start, I think, with SmackDown from last week, and then we'll kind of go in order, and we'll go to the greatest night of the week in wrestling, Wednesday. I think.
That's right.
I think, but SmackDown keeps dropping in the ratings since The Rock was there. Which, if anybody is surprised by that, I mean that should not surprise
just
anybody.
The fact that it keeps dropping, like, I knew it was going to initially drop, but I didn't think we'd lose. You lose, first of all, right off the rip, you lose 1 million viewers. I didn't know that The Rock. Obviously, The Rock's a draw, but goddamn. You lose 1 million viewers just from The Rock, and then the next week you lose like another 10%. It ain't good, but it's, from what I heard, not as bad as people are speculating. So Big Dave, good old Tuna Meltzer, said that SmackDown is not in trouble unless it hits a 1.7. And then if it hits 1.7 and starts dipping below that, they might start, Fox that is, might start thinking about moving the program to FS1 rather than main network Fox. But for now, it's safe. For now. Hopefully we get a good roll going. Again, we're not in the business of burying people and wishing ill on somebody. I'm not one of those crazy people who wants Vince McMahon to die so that the product can get better. And I don't want WWE to go out of business and then have suddenly, thousands of people out of a job. That's just not, I enjoy this thing. That's, we enjoy wrestling. We're not here wishing ill will upon anybody. I want SmackDown to do well.
This is only good for us as fans.
Right. This Fox, honestly, this Fox thing, I was always concerned about WWE taking the Fox deal. For this reason. Fox, for those of you who don't know, Fox Network, cancels shit at the drop of a hat. They canceled Firefly after 13 episodes.
They give nothing a chance. They
canceled Family Guy like 4 or 5 times. They're not exactly known for keeping a program on longer than is needed or longer than they think is needed, which is sometimes a really short leash. So I was concerned automatically because Fox, yes, it's awesome. It's network television, one of the main 4, but there's a lot that could go wrong in terms of Fox deciding to just drop it or cancel it or move it to some obscure Fox. It's going to be on Fox Ocho Deportes, and it's just going to be Hugo Savinovich calling the show. Who knows? But that's the concern.
I enjoyed SmackDown. I mean,
we have a new women's #1 contender, which
Nikki
is nice.
Cross
Had to be a babyface because of this Haley Bailey deal.
Is hold on, Alexa, is she on Raw or SmackDown?
No, she's on. Here's the thing.
She was drafted to SmackDown.
So they're still together then.
Nikki and Alexa were initially drafted to Raw as separate draft picks, which again still doesn't make sense. But then Triple H announced before a baseball game
that big trade, right? That big.
There was a trade, and those two were 2 of the people involved in the trade, so they went to SmackDown as a package deal. So yes, they're on SmackDown now. But they're both big. They're both baby faces too. This isn't so far. Alexa hasn't turned on Nikki. Now, will that happen at this? Next title defense? Is it coming down the pike where Alexa's going to be jealous of Nikki?
If she wins the belt that might
Yeah.
Or she could cost her the belt.
If she costs her the belt, then you've got a separate feud for not for the title. You've got Alexa and Nikki by themselves.
Which would be good though. It's good to have separate women's feud, not for the title.
Yeah, it would be. I mean,
at least mini ones.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody needs something to do, and there was some stuff online. It's like, oh well, if you think the weekly storylines on right now are terrible. You should have seen 1993 because the Repo Man and Macho Man feuded over the Repo Man repossessing Macho's hat.
I loved the Repo Man.
First of all, yes, whoever, and I should go online and shame this person, whoever sullies the good name of the Repo Man.
That music was great.
Yeah, that's one, and you can't talk bad about Macho. I mean, listen, this was 93. It's not exactly the creative peak of the WWF at the time.
95 was worse.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Arguably.
93 wasn't great, 94 was bad, 95 was bad, 96 was the upturn, moderately. They were still getting beaten by Nitro, but then they eventually overtook
Wait for it. It's coming.
It's gotta be there.
Here it comes. Right now.
That's what we're waiting for.
One half of Demolition.
Yeah, which he did such a good job of being one of the Demolition guys. Of course, he has face paint on.
Talk about a different gimmick, though. You know what I mean? Like, to go from one extreme to the other.
Honestly, I was very young at the time, so I don't think I would have known. But you guys were probably 10 or 12 when that happened. Did people know? Did they go, hey, that was a Demolition guy, and now he's the Repo Man? Was it one of those things?
I don't even think that I remember. I don't remember knowing right away that it was him.
Yeah, maybe not right away. But,
Yeah.
But eventually.
For all I know, Eric may have been the one to call me and be like, "Did you know?" And I'd be like,
Yeah, that would be. If anybody's going to call you, it's going to be Eric for sure.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I definitely didn't know. I definitely did not know. I couldn't remember that.
No?
So, okay. So
Actually, Vince, you want to hear a funny story?
Yeah.
Steve and Kat were once at the same house show, sitting in 3 different spots in '92
Ha! That's pretty great.
at Nassau Coliseum.
That's right.
That's awesome, dude.
That's right.
How
did we feel about Bailey and Banks being on Miz TV? I thought that was a pretty good segment, actually. I
I
enjoyed
like
that.
that segment.
Bailey explaining the heel turn, I think, was good.
Life sucks and then you die.
I liked Sasha being out there with her and being Sasha. And I thought,
being Sasha.
Yeah, and Miz is always great. He's always good at directing traffic in those segments, and
Miz is good at that stuff for sure. He's had this show since what? What did they do? They canceled the highlight reel. He did something.
This has got to be like getting up there as like one of the longest reigning talk shows on WWE television in history.
For sure. But I don't know. I feel like with this Bailey thing, it's kind of like I don't know how to put it. It's the same heel turn that they just stamp on everybody. Well, you people abandoned me. It's like when Becky Lynch turned heel, and she was like, "You people."
But it makes sense, though. I mean, it's like for Bailey, it's the right.
How many people are we gonna do this for, though?
And it's the Hulk Hogan thing. Hollywood Hogan.
I mean, listen. There's not so many different ways.
Stick it, brother.
There's not that many different ways that you can do it. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So.
Yeah.
But now I'm also hearing that they might possibly be turning Sasha face again, which. Then why the hell did you turn her heel? I don't know if that's. I'm hoping it's not true. Because I mean, listen, I think she does a good job heel or face.
This is an interesting dynamic, though, with both of them as heels together.
Right. And
it's definitely different. I think they should keep this together because it's different.
And don't get me wrong, I think Sasha's good heel or face, but I think she's due for a heel run. She's got to be at this for a while. I think it'd be a mistake to.
Yeah, but then what's gonna? Are we eventually down the line? Getting a turn there,
right? With both of them on the same brand too,
Yeah,
won't Sasha want to be the top dog?
Well, what's the end game? Like, who's gonna get that belt? Is Sasha gonna? It's just.
I feel like it has to come around to Sasha, right?
We've seen that so many times, though. Like, how many times are they gonna do that?
Well, we haven't seen a heel. Well, we haven't seen a heel champion Sasha in a while.
I thought she was gonna beat Becky.
But she's the champion, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, everybody thought she was going to be Becky. It was a whole deal.
Well, let me ask you this, Sam. Do you actually have a problem with another Sasha run as a champ?
I think bringing her back just to lose and then lose again and then lose again is kind of stupid. It just doesn't make sense to me. What's the point of her now? Now she's just back up for a Bailey heel turn.
Unless it's a setup for, a run.
Could be.
You know what I mean? But I do agree with you. I think to bring her back and have her lose, I think every single match but one since she came back is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's pretty, especially
And they're not
that,
going for the tag belts again.
right.
I'm definitely not. I'm not happy with her promos as a face. I like her as a heel. Sasha.
Oh yeah, Sasha.
Her promos as a face are terrible.
She's better heel. I mean, there's a lot of people that are better heel. Mr. Monday Night Rollins there is way better as a heel. At least when he acts like a nerdy goof, we can boo him. Now everything he does that's nerdy and goofy, we're supposed to cheer.
I am cool.
Listen, there's nothing that says a sign from a show got in your head worse than using it as a hashtag on Twitter. Seth Rollins is not cool. Whoa. No, you're not taking the power from his words. You've amplified them by a million because now all of your fucking Twitter followers can see that you got bothered by this guy's tweet. Just don't talk about it if it bugs you, man. But anyway, this Bailey thing, I like the heel turn. I like that they're doing it. I don't necessarily like that. It does fit for her, but I just don't like that, for the most part, heel turns nowadays are you people abandoned me, and well, you people, and then well, you people, and your sports team stinks, and I've got to get shots because you infected me, and you smell funny, and we're going to wear a gas mask. I'm sorry, I'm still bitter about that Dean Ambrose shit from a year ago, which was exactly 1 year ago today. Exactly 1 year ago today.
Is that right?
That was the fucking
That was so
nosedive.
stupid.
We can pinpoint the exact moment that they started fucking, not that they haven't fucked everything up since like 2014, but they had that period where they had the Shield and they were fresh, and then there was the heel turn from Rollins, and there was some excitement, and Dean Ambrose was the kingpin on Smackdown for 2016, and he was feuding with AJ Styles, and Styles was feuding with Cena, and there was like this good, and then that one fateful day, Roman Reigns did the impossible, unseated Brock Lesnar as champion in Saudi Arabia, right? Or whatever the fuck. Oh no, he speared him. It was the next pay-per-view. They ran around the ring and speared him and all that bullshit. And he won. And he gives up the title because he has to battle leukemia, which has come back. And he makes this miraculous fucking recovery and gets back in less than a year in time for WrestleMania. But in the meantime, while he was going through all that, they fucked everything up. They heel turned Dean Ambrose. Okay, this is how this works for those of you who are watching. 8 p.m. Reigns comes out and says he has cancer. By 11:05, his best friend curb stomps his other best friend and is now supposed to be the biggest heel in the world on the night where that match was supposed to end with Roman hitting a spear and a Superman punch. Somebody else pins, they get the thing, everybody hugs and goes home happy. They fucked it up there, and then they just continued fucking it up because no matter what, the fans were cheering the shit out of Ambrose. He wasn't turning. No matter what they had him do, it didn't work. And now here we are a year later. He's not even with the company anymore. There's AEW.
I honestly think that was a big, the beginning of the end for him. I think
And then they
mentally,
put him with Nia Jax for a little-
I
for
think-
that weird
I-
thing.
Yeah.
I
he
think-
was getting a feud with Nia Jax.
I think mentally, when they told him he had to go out there and do that the same night that Roman made that announcement, I think mentally that was it for him. He knew then that was it. He was done.
Well, because that's when I think he realized, and not that everybody doesn't realize this with a corporation, but there comes a time when you're working for a big corporation where you realize that they do not give a shit about you as an individual. They care about the bottom line for their company and the direction that they want to head. And that was example number one, letter A, with a gold star, with a highlighter, and 3 red lines underneath it, that they don't give a shit about you as a person. Because guess what? They need a new big baby face, which is Seth Rollins. They need a new big heel, and guess what? That's you. It doesn't matter that you guys are friends and that this guy's going through chemo or anything. It doesn't matter. We have a show to do. The show must go on. You curb stomp your best friend on the worst night of your life. Just do it. And it really, honestly, AEW would be fine without Ambrose because they've got some big names. But That's what did it. When John Moxley came out in Las Vegas and fucking DDT'd Kenny Omega, that's what did it for them.
Listen,
if
you think back, WCW, was there, but they weren't competition. They really weren't. They were there, and everybody knew about them. And then you have one night where Scott Hall shows up through the crowd. Like a night after he had appeared in WWF.
But you don't know why I'm here.
And that moment changed the game. That moment put WCW on the map as a true contender, because now you saw Razor Ramon in WCW. And
it was the exact same effect, because you're like, that's Dean Ambrose.
Right.
And they're like, John Moxley, just to hammer it home.
And you know what?
John fucking Moxley.
And you could say even something like Ty Dillinger, even though he wasn't a big name, he was still the perfect 10. There's Jack Swagger. He was never the biggest thing, but there was a time where if they actually pulled the trigger, he was going to fly. And they, although I think he fucked up, there was something, he got arrested, I think, or something, and then that
I think he kept smoking weed and getting pulled over and shit. But he smoked weed and got pulled over and then won the Elimination Chamber and won the title like 4 days later, so who fucking knows? But yeah, there were guys that WWE wasn't treating right, and then now they're in AEW. But
I think with that too, though, I think Ambrose on that podcast, I don't know if it was Jericho's podcast, he said all that. He definitely brought that up. He said that was a really rough night. But for me, at the same time, I kind of got to flip the coin and look at it from the perspective of the business. You know what I mean? You signed that contract. You chose to be part of that company. And the show's got to go on. We've seen crazy shit happen. We've seen, unfortunately, Owen pass during the pay-per-view.
Right.
We've seen, 9/11 shows, all of these crazy things that happen in the world, and the show does go on. You know what I mean?
That is true.
And it doesn't have to be that bad, but, I think there was a lot of different things. I said it before on the podcast. I said it before with you guys. Straight up, I think Ambrose, when he went on that show with Austin, that was it for him. That day after that was it.
And that was another part where he feels like it feels like the company doesn't care about you, because he specifically said, hey, don't have Steve bring up my childhood. It was a rough situation. They're not here to defend themselves. I can only provide my perspective, but there were other people involved, and I don't want to get them involved or mention names or whatever. And he told the production assistant that, or whoever it was, the producer of the segment, whoever, they didn't communicate that to Steve Austin, so Steve Austin immediately goes into his family, gets him on the defensive. It's a bad interview from the rip because he just didn't want to talk about it. So it's like everything that happened was like chipping away. But I'll give him credit. He was a company guy. When they said go out and heel turn on your best friend on the worst night of your life,
he
fucking did it. He went out and he did this stupid rip-off. If you go to wish.com to buy your Bane Halloween costume, that's what he looked like. Yep. He did that. He did the I'm sick, you people stink thing. I've got to get vaccinated, you smell. He did all of that. He did everything they said. They killed him off 4 different times. He got DDT'd through a this and a that and thrown off the stage and buried under a thing and all kinds. They just kept burying him every week until they let him go. And he did, I don't want to say he did it with a smile on his face, but he did it
with a smile on his face
to get by. Yeah, he just gritted his teeth and fucking got through it. And then I don't think they ever thought he was really going to leave. I think they thought he was going to last.
I thought it was going to,
guys. You know what?
They thought it was going to work out.
I thought they were going to throw. Personally, I thought they were going to throw enough money at him, but they didn't. What do we think of? Not to take a left turn, but we haven't finished up SmackDown yet. What do we think of this situation where it appears we've got Daniel Bryan turning babyface, Roman Reigns is involved, Nakamura is involved, Corbin, for some reason, is involved. I know people apparently people like Baron Corbin. That's a thing now. He's just like the SpongeBob meme. He's just he's the meme wrestler of he's the meme wrestler of the month here. It's, first it was Orange Cassidy and now it's Baron Corbin, where it's just he's a meme. Not to get heat. No disrespect to Orange Cassidy. You're on a different plane than Baron Corbin. Anyway, Baron Corbin's still involved. Shorty G is now Gable's name. Fuck that. So I'm just trying to hit the highlights of SmackDown right now, or lowlights, I guess. I still don't give a single shit about anything that involves Baron Corbin, and unfortunately,
Or Shorty G.
Or listen, Shorty G. They have a guy who is an inch, maybe 2 inches shorter than Kurt Angle, who shares a lot in common with Kurt Angle.
He's taller than like 8 to 10 guys on the roster.
The national average for height is like 5'9", 5'10", and he's 5'8". So I don't know how they're he's not Marco Stunt size. He's not Jungle Boy size. He's not even he's probably like the 20th shortest wrestler on the roster and put some smack dab.
He's my height, 5'8".
It makes no sense. And not that I'm a tall, I'm a medium.
At least he's getting TV time and he's getting.
He is. He's making the most of it. He's getting his shot.
He definitely is.
But it's one of those things where it's like you've got a guy,
and he always delivers. You have to give him that too.
He's a good wrestler. He's an athlete. He's a gold medalist or whatever. He was an Olympian. He competed. The fucking guy is legit. And it's just like when they signed Dusty Rhodes away from Jim Crockett. And Vince said, guess what? Put on the fucking polka dots. It got over, and people liked it.
Well, because it's Dusty fucking Rhodes.
Right, but Dusty made it work. This is the same thing. This is a humiliation. It's dumb. There's no reason for anybody to do this. But he's doing well with it.
Hey, listen, for all we know, it could have been his idea.
Maybe.
Could have been his pitch.
If he starts saying, I'm going to cut this short all the time, I might be okay with it. If he just makes a whole, if that's just his thing, short jokes and, abbreviating stuff, get you lates, and they go by, and they're like, lates, cut it short, little shit like that. Sure, maybe we can go somewhere. But it's not like, you're not gonna hear anybody say, Shorty G wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. It's just not fucking happening.
That's true.
Shorty G is a ceiling. The name alone gives you a ceiling for where you can go.
Because we've seen worse things happen, I guess.
I can get on board with the
Funaki.
Yeah, I can get on board with that, with the name, with the puns, because shit, I'm going to Vegas soon, and I'm going to the Hoover Dam. I just want to go for the damn puns more than anything.
Look at this damn thing over here.
We a damn good.
Oh no, he's just gonna tell dad jokes the entire time he's at the Hoover Dam.
Damn right.
Boy. All right, so that was your SmackDown update. We'll just end it with a bad short pun. We'll move on, I guess, to we've already mentioned him a bit, but we'll move on to yeah, that's perfect. AEW. I enjoy this show a lot. I know it's not the world's greatest or most technical wrestling. I know if I watch NXT, I'm probably going to watch some more real barn burners. And Keith Lee and Dijak are awesome, and Matt Riddle's awesome.
They put on those two put on another outstanding match,
and they put on a hell of a. I mean, Dijak for years.
Another friend of ours.
Years, yeah, man, and he's been on the show. If you look back, oh God,
and he's done
far back. Yeah, but of course, anybody who does a promo for us is a friend.
Feast your eyes, man.
I still want Hansi from the Howard Stern show to do a promo for us, but I don't know if I can get him. But anyway, Dijak was for years considered he was a really athletic guy and he was doing well, but there was a certain point where he started getting more opportunities to wrestle guys like Keith Lee and all that, and he really fucking turned it up. I think it was right around when he debuted with Beyond Wrestling. He started getting more matches in Beyond Wrestling. And then as he was blowing up, Beyond Wrestling was blowing up on streaming services and on YouTube and all that. He just turned it up, man. I don't know what to tell you. It wasn't out of the blue. It was a progression, but it was fucking quick. Because he's not been in the business for that long.
No.
He came.
But when you're as agile as he is at his size,
former basketball player,
right? And he's a good-looking guy. He's very good in the ring. He does shit that he just should not be able to do. And the same goes for Keith Lee. I mean, for Keith being as big as he is, to be able to do some of the stuff he does is mind-blowing to me.
And pushing 40. Not to fucking kayfabe.
That I did not know.
He's closer to 40 than he is to 30.
That I did not know.
But it's just, I've been in the locker room with Keith Lee and Dijak, and they wrestled in separate matches. And then after the show, Dijak's sitting there taking his knee pads off and shit. He's like, every time I see you, I get so jealous because you're bigger than me, Like weight-wise, you can fly like that. And they're just like, and they both go back and forth like that. And he's like, no, and Keith Lee would just come back and give him a little compliment, dap him up. But like, it's just so fun to see a guy like Keith Lee, especially. Dijak got a fucking WWE tryout like 6 months into his career, so he was already going to get signed with them no matter what. Keith Lee was kind of an off-the-radar pick for them, and I like it. He would, unfortunately, like I said last week, one day Vince McMahon's just going to decide that his name is Foxy Brown, and he's going to be a guy that likes to dance and have fun, and then he's going to be on SmackDown with Shorty G, and they're both going to be wearing pimp hats or some stupid shit. But I feel like if you just took Keith Lee and dropped him onto Raw or SmackDown, and same with Dijak, you just dropped them onto Raw or SmackDown, and just let them beat Keith Lee or Dijak, they're going to fucking kill it.
The only thing I don't like is how they changed Dijak's name. They should have just left it Dijak.
Yeah, but they needed to keep their own, they wanted a name that they can
Knowing
own.
WWE, by the time he gets to the main roster,
It's not even going to be his name. It's not even going to be close. It's going to be something completely different. He's going to be like Dolph Nowitzki or something, and then he'll be Dolph Ziggler's.
You know what, though? Don't be surprised if you don't see so much of that anymore now that they're somewhat mainstream compared to what they were.
Yeah, I mean, look at AJ Styles, Samoa Joe.
Well,
yeah.
that's...
Those are special.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little...
And then Hideo, Kenta was Hideo Itami. It made no sense. Prince Devitt was Finn Balor. Like, there were changes that they made, but then some they did, some they decided to change.
Some worked and some didn't, though.
I just think it's going to be a lot different now, I think.
Yes.
Because now it's just a different, it's just a different thing now. Now they're going to be more...
I don't know how they had the balls to do this with going from NXT to the main roster. Leo Kruger was Adam Rose. Leo Kruger was a South African hunter who thought that rather than hunting wild game, he decided the most dangerous game is humans, and wrestled like he was stalking them in the ring. And it was fucking interesting. And then they decided to make him a Dalton Castle ripoff and give him an entourage of people, and he danced around and talked like Russell Brand. So who fucking knows, man?
Which was good in NXT, but once he got it was awful. And they changed everything.
Yeah, it was pretty rotten.
Although I gotta say that Kofi near elimination where where the
No, I mean there
Kofi around the ring, that was kind of funny.
But it was another thing that almost seemed like a punishment. Like, what can we do to fuck with this guy? Oh, we'll make him this character. I don't know.
But I don't know. It got way over on the debut of that character in NXT.
It did, and then it just didn't.
And then
it's different in a 400-seat building, and that's what's different between NXT and AEW is that, there's definitely a size difference in the crowds. The wrestling is great on both shows. I mean, I don't care if you prefer one over the other. It doesn't harm me in any way. I just like the way things are progressing as a show. It was their third show in, and there's still little tweaks and bits and bobs that need to change, but overall, it's a fucking good show. When SCU, SoCal Uncensored, comes out, and one of my cats just fell down the thing here. I don't know if they could see it on the TV. They fell behind the couch. It was fucking wonderful. But anyway, SCU comes out for their tag team tournament match, and the Lucha Brothers attack Christopher Daniels. Penta hits the fucking Pentagon driver on the ramp and fucking legit hits Christopher Daniels' head on the back of the ramp.
He's going to be out for a while, apparently.
He's going to be out for a while, and then Scorpio Sky, here's what I love. In WWE, everybody hangs around backstage in their fucking wrestling tights. Like it's, 6:30 p.m. on Halloween, and you're just ready to go out the door. That's not life. You don't just hang around in your fucking tighty whities all day. Scorpio Sky came out, took his shirt off, wrestled in dress pants and sneakers, and then
lost the shoe in the process.
He lost the shoe during the course of the match. He took the other shoe and threw it into the crowd, and the crowd, it was Boston, right? Philly. Thank you, Philly. You fucking threw the shoe back like you were at a goddamn baseball game and the away team hit a home run. It was a wonderful moment where all of a sudden you just see the shoe.
I love the story progression in that, like, he stepped up. Like, he wasn't even out there yet. He had
exactly
there.
And it's simple stuff.
And
that
he was in
makes
his
sense.
regular, like, dress clothes. Yeah, I like that too. There's a realism about that.
Right. It seems, even though it was a part of a show and it was definitely scripted, it seemed spontaneous, or at least more spontaneous than something like that would happen. Because in WWE, when something spontaneous happens, they have like 5 camera angles. Like when Braun Strowman got speared through the stage by Bobby Lashley and exploded, it was a cool spot. But when did you ever see a camera in between the Titantron and the curtain facing where the wrestlers, from way up here, 80 feet up, pointed down at the exact spot where it was going to happen? You've never seen that camera angle before, and you'll never see it again. They just so happen to have a camera hanging up there to catch that. It's silly. Like that kind of takes you out of it. This was very spontaneous. What do we think of this Marco Stunt thing? I'll get deeper into it.
I'm on Cam Cornette. I think it's fucking stupid.
Wait, what did you ask?
Marco Stunt. So Marco Stunt is the third guy in the Jurassic Express. You got Jungle Boy Jack Perry, which apparently the internet hates when JR says Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
I actually like that.
I love it because you don't call Ric Flair the Nature Boy. Like, he doesn't go around and put, when he signs a receipt at a restaurant, he doesn't sign Nature Boy. He signs Ric Flair. Motherfucker's got a name. His nickname is Jungle Boy. That's just. It is what it is, folks. Like, come on now.
He also looks exactly like his father. Holy shit.
He really does.
Yeah.
He's just got the much curlier hair. But Marco Stunt. So the issue that people take is they think Marco Stunt, which he is small, but they think he's too small, and they think when he does offense on people that they shouldn't sell it, or I don't know what they just think he's too small.
That's how I'm feeling.
And I get it. Listen, he's small. He had some kind of injury or whatever growing up where he has like fucking scoliosis or something. He walks like a goddamn T-Rex. I get it. Like he's 100 pounds soaking wet. He looks like a kid. He's 20-something years old, but realistically, he looks like he's 15 years old. The thing that they did right was Pentagon and Phoenix were taking advantage of the fact that this kid was so small. They were throwing him around.
Yeah, they
every
were.
Every so often, he would be thrown, but then he'd do a counter and do a DDT.
Like a Hurricane Rana or something, yeah.
Right, or with something like that, where one of those really interesting windmill DDTs or head scissors. I like that because he didn't go out there and stand nose to nose with Pentagon and smack him in the face, and then they started doing the boo yay flipper forearm spot and all this hokey bullshit. No, it was, hey, look at this small guy. I'm gonna go pick him up and throw him around. And every so often he got a good one in, like he was able to reverse it. But I get it. They had this time planned out. They had a match. They had a segment that was scheduled to be 20 minutes long. Luchasaurus was supposed to wrestle. They didn't find out until two hours before the show. So instead of scrapping everything and saying this is going to be a 2-minute long squash match, which it could have been, it very well could have been, they just decided to give him a full match, which I think is fine because they didn't have to rewrite the show. They didn't have to retime everything. They wrestled the match. He is small. I think you have to just I think they used him right, and I think they have to continue to use him in that way, where he's constantly getting in trouble. Bigger guys are picking on him. He's being thrown around. Every so often,
Spike
he'll get
Dudley.
shot.
Even the Spike Dudley,
Exactly. It's a Spike. This is exactly the Spike Dudley theory. So while Jim Cornette thinks the whole wrestling business is dead because Marco Stunt is on
I
television,
love
like,
if you
this
listen
really
to what
just-
Cornette says about it, it's hilarious.
And listen, I don't hate on the guy. I like listening to Cornette, and I just think it's so funny because he's already so sour on AEW, and they've only been in business like 3 weeks. He just dislikes 90% of the stuff they do because he thinks it's outlaw, mud show, horse shit, or whatever he wants to call it.
You want to know the real reason? And as much as I love Cornette, because he hasn't been asked to be a part of it.
He's the fucking Dennis Stamp, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not booked.
That's what it comes down to, in my opinion.
Yeah. And unfortunately, here's the thing. He talks a lot about Kenny Omega. He calls Kenny Omega Kenny Olivier. And he says he doesn't like his hands.
He called him Harpo Marx.
Yes, he called him Harpo Marx. But it's like, you're not insulting the guy. You just named two of the biggest stars of, the early 1900s. just is what it is. Like, he thinks he's too theatrical, or that he talks with his hands and all this stuff, and he doesn't like his facial expressions. The fucking guy went to Japan. He went to Japan not knowing the language. He was Canadian. When you wrestle, you can talk shit to people to get heat. You can insult the fans. What if you don't know the language? You have to do things another way. If you're from the U.S. and you wrestle in Mexico, if somebody from Mexico wrestles in the U.S., or somebody from Japan comes over to the U.S., they use their facial expressions. They use their hands and their body. Right. Nakamura doesn't speak a fucking lick of English. He's terrible at it. I don't know how he could pull up the McDonald's and fucking put an order in. But when he's in the ring, you know what his character is doing by his facial expressions and the way he does the thing with his hands. Like, you get it. It's over-exaggerated because, guess what? He's in a fucking 18-foot by 18-foot ring, and there's a guy that's 1,000 feet away in the upper deck who can't see all of this stuff at a micro level. He has to do it so big that guy up there can see it. And that's what Kenny does. And I know it's different because you're wrestling for TV, but you're wrestling for TV, you also have to wrestle for the audience that's there. And I think Kenny started doing it more. To be honest, this last week, I think he started doing it more just to get on Cornette's nerves. Because everything he did, he was putting his hands up and he was like, yeah, come on. Like, he really overdid it this week. I just don't, I don't have a problem with it.
Like when Shawn Michaels sold for Hogan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He way oversold. I think the match of the night. Excuse me. Keep coughing. The match of the night was the main event tag match, where you had Hangman Page and Kenny Omega going against Pac, which I guess is now, or no, it's Pac, right? Is it Pac? I don't know. He has a specific way he wants to pronounce. I think it's Pac. Pac and Moxley. It was a good match. Their tag team rules are a little weird because sometimes people will be in the ring, like with their partner doing a double team move, and then somebody else
inconsistent.
They'll just tag him in. They'll be like, oh, you're standing next to me. Tag him in. Or like the blind tag on the foot. Like, there's all kinds of weird blind tags that can be made apparently in AEW. As long as they're consistent, I'm okay with it. But if pick something and stick with it. Don't just let it be willy-nilly and change all the time, because that's the thing that gets people about WWE. But this match here, this tag team match, the reason it worked well is Omega and Moxley have this match that's coming up. Pac and Page have a match coming up, I assume, because they were supposed to wrestle for the world title, or they were supposed to wrestle to be in the world title match at one point. That's how Page ended up winning that battle royal and getting in against Jericho and stuff. So there's all this kind of background stuff going on. Omega grabs the barbed wire broom, and Moxley grabs the barbed wire bat, and they're squaring off in the middle of the ring. Fucking Philly is losing their minds because that's such an ECW thing to do. Is just in the middle of a regular-ass tag match, just go grab some barbed wire-covered weapon.
Yep.
And they're standing there like some shit was about to go down. Pac runs in the ring. He's like, what are you fucking doing? I've got a good record. I don't want my win-loss record affected by a DQ. Get this shit out. And he throws it out of the ring. He cuts the shit out of his hand because it's real barbed wire, folks. This ain't some gimmick bullshit. It was real barbed wire, and he cut the shit out of his finger. And in response, Moxley gives him the double birds, hits him with the fucking DDT, the paradigm shift, and leaves. It was such a stone cold 1997 thing to do, and everybody loved it because there are some things that still will get over that are, old shit still gets over. That's how wrestling works, man. But it was great. And then Page and Omega get the win, and that set up the main event for tomorrow night of Moxley versus Pac.
Right.
While still furthering the other storylines heading towards the Full Gear pay-per-view. This is simple shit, ladies and gentlemen. It's not Game of Thrones.
There's a lot of like gray areas, like where you don't really know who's heel or face. Like I thought SCU was heels, but they're not. When the Lucha Brothers attack them, and then the whole, I don't know, it's weird.
Everybody's I don't think.
And then the Lucha Brothers were getting cheered and booed in the same match.
Well, and that's the thing, is that people are. It's like Ric Flair when Ric Flair opened the show Monday night. People are excited to see Ric Flair. You're gonna cheer for Ric Flair because you like him. But then he starts talking shit about the, Cleveland or wherever the fuck. Were they in Cleveland? I think they were in Cleveland. He was making fun of the football team. The NFL team was in the front row. He's like, I'm tougher than you, all this shit. He's talking to somebody about their mother. And then people booed that, but then they were cheering everything else because he's so good. They want to see him do his thing. But then when he starts doing the heel shit, they still know to boo him. To me, I think this is like in traditional sports. To use like a current example, I'm a Yankee fan, and I wanted the Yankees to go into the World Series and win the World Series. Meaning, if the Yankees faced the Washington Nationals, I would be rooting against the Washington Nationals. But guess what? The Astros beat the Yankees, and it's Astros Nationals. So I'm going to cheer for the Nationals because fuck the Astros.
Amen.
That's the same thing that they're doing. Thank you. That's the same thing that they're doing here. Cody's a nice guy for the most part, but he hangs around with MJF, who's a fucking asshole. And by the way, that whole thing.
I want to talk about that
is
too.
That guy's going places. But that's what I'm saying. There's not. You're a babyface, you're a heel, except for maybe like Pac, who's like a big time heel, like he's a heel. Moxley occupies that gray area. Omega's occupying that gray area. There's all kinds of. There's different things going on. It's different. It's the shades of gray, bro. It's shades of gray.
I'm glad you brought that up because I want to talk about that.
What about?
What?
MJF.
MJF, yeah. So like Cody's got the title match right against Jericho at the
Yeah.
And you have this whole dynamic where MJF is like away from Cody. He's the biggest asshole you'll ever meet, right? He's
Right.
Awesome at it. And then he's Cody's best friend and is like, come out with him. So
Also
I'd imagine MJF is going to turn on Cody, and Cody's not going to win the title.
It's either going to happen or it'll happen eventually. They teased it last week with that big beatdown, and then MJF came on, made the statement. It was 2 weeks. Man, who knows? All this.
He's in those funny videos with Cody and Brandy too.
He did a shot of Brandy, which is Brandy's cooking show, which was very good this week. I think it's definitely, like you said, everybody knows. Here's the thing. They're wrestling fans, too, the people making the show. They know that we know that wrestling logic dictates that MJF turns on Cody at some point. That's all we know. It's like knowing on a magic trick that the guy's going to pull the ace out of the deck because you put the ace in it. You know how it's going to happen, what the result is. We don't know when or how it's going to happen. So the interesting thing to go with your theory, Eric, is Brandy announced on Twitter she is no longer accompanying Cody to the ring for the however long.
Mm-hmm.
Did she say why?
Yeah, it was like she's busy. She should be focusing on other things. She's providing a distraction, whatever. Kind of a typical, I'm the wife, I need to step away kind of a tweet. So she's not accompanying the ring, which means, according to AEW rules, you get one person to corner you. And they actually enforce that.
And it's not always going to be DDP.
Right. So I think, now that Brandy's out, the next closest person to Cody in storyline is MJF. So does MJF turn imminently at this pay-per-view, or do we let it simmer? I don't know. That's what I like about it. I don't know.
Right. So I think.
Whoa, it was playing. I just heard myself.
I heard that too.
Oh, man, that's wonderful. But I think it's going to be MJF. I just don't know if the turn's going to happen. This is why we tune in, because you say, oh, man, this guy's going to turn. Is it going to be this week? No, he saved him. Maybe it's going to be next week. Maybe it'll be at the pay-per-view. And they got you strung along. But this is the kind of shit that Dusty would do.
Yeah.
All of this stuff, people don't realize when you're looking at these storylines, they're not overly complicated. They're simple to the not to the point where it's like dumbed down, but it's not like somebody's cheating on their wife or husband or whatever, and there's all these backstage segments in a fucking restaurant or getting a massage or any of this happy horse shit like happened on Raw. God. It's stories that happen within the context of we are athletes for a professional sports league, and the league happens to be wrestling. And all the shit that happens in the arena. So when the interviews happen, they're in front of the people. And when the matches happen, they're there. And the happenings of the whether somebody's turning or not or this or that, it's happening to get a live response in the arena as well as being on TV. It's just a different style of thing. And it's all these are all old Southern Crockett territory kind of storylines. They're not overly complicated. They get the point across. You got your babyface, you got your heel. Let's go out and have a fucking match. And the promo that they put in for Cody, and I'll stop talking in a minute. When Cody has this promo, he doesn't say a fucking word. He looks at Brandy at one point and says, "Yeah, sure," and walks away. Everybody cutting a promo. Cody's mom, Tony Schiavone, DDP, MJF, Brandy, JR. They're all cutting a promo on his behalf about how much it means to win a world title and that Cody needs to climb that fucking mountain and grab the brass ring and be the top guy. But he's also a vice president, so he's got pressure from that. And is it a conflict of interest that he's a vice president and also challenging for the title? Oh, what about all this production stuff that he has to do before the show? Is his head going to be in the right headspace because he has to produce a pay-per-view as well as wrestle on the pay-per-view? There's all this fucking stuff that they packed into this little promo, and they put sad piano music over it. And now all you want to see is Cody go out there and beat the shit out of Chris Jericho. Like, it was this little 3-minute thing. And it just got it to me. It got me excited to see the match. It was different. The whole feel is different.
Sam, what do you think? You've been quiet on this subject.
He's been muting. He's been muting the whole time.
I gotta prevent the feedback, you know.
I got you.
You know, honestly, I haven't watched too much of this one, so I can't plug in too much of it. I got to catch up on it.
Oh, Sam, you would love AEW.
Oh, you gotta watch, bro. It feels like Nitro.
I saw the first one and I loved it.
Not shitty Nitro, good Nitro. Like not Russo Nitro. I'm talking about like prime Sting standing in the rafters.
Nitro, yeah.
Yeah, shit.
Now, if they only had Sting standing in the rafters or somebody like that, that would be something.
That's all they need.
Dude, I mean, yeah.
But one of the things that I like that there's different presentations. Like, Howard has this whole old school fucking Crockett thing feel to it.
100%.
It's different. NXT is different.
We got JR talking about how, you know, he loves the promos and everything. He loves to color commentate, but he's not enjoying too much of the overdone flips and extra moves and things of that nature.
JR has always been like that, though. He would rather see them wrestle than all the high flying and taking those risks. You know, he's a firm believer that will shorten your career.
Yeah,
and he's always it does, and he's always been like that. Like that's nothing new.
And it's a specialty thing, like the dive thing. That's one thing. There's like 15 dives on a show. Get that shit out of there. If you're gonna have a big dive, have a big dive. Like, build up to it and have a big dive. But everybody diving out of the ring in every match is like, that's a bit...
It's a little overkill.
Tough. Yeah, how do you follow
that hates that?
Well, right, and that's the problem.
Undertaker.
Scorpio Sky did fucking 5 dives in a row. Like, he went in, dove. Like, he did it a bunch of times, and that was the first match. So, like, where do you go from there?
Well, that's the thing.
And not only
that's
that, but...
really the only kind of bugaboo is I agree with JR.
To be fair, and NXT does that a little, too, also.
It's even
NXT also gets finisher happy.
It's even like the super kick. It's like, how many super kicks are we going to see in one match? You know what I mean?
Right. They're not super no more. That's the problem. And I think maybe that needs to be established. Maybe someone.
That's a party that needs to end.
Yeah. I got the shirt today. But I agree. I think the super kick, maybe it needs to be commented that somewhere, at least made officially canon, if you could say, that Shawn Michaels developed some kind of special technique for the super kick, and the reason that no other super kick is as effective is that nobody's learned Shawn Michaels' secret to the super kick.
Yeah, well,
and then one day
with the metal plate in his forearm.
Yes, but that's the thing.
Type of way.
If you remember, I mean, this is going way back. Wasn't when Jose Lothario was introduced as HBK's mentor and all that?
Yeah.
He gave him the secret of the super kick, and he changed his finisher from the teardrop suplex into the super kick. So it was like old man wisdom handed down to him, and then he got this like special super kick. If he did that with somebody else, that would make him a star.
Well, it's also the theatrics too that Shawn.
Yes, there's a lot. the stomping, because you're right, the modern super kick, unless you're Dolph Ziggler and then somebody kicks out at like half a second because nobody gives a shit about Dolph Ziggler anymore because it's not 2013. But yeah, they did the holding the rope and the stomp and the tuning up the band, the whole deal. Most super kicks are just slap the leg, kid, slap the leg, and it's not as effective. So maybe there's something to that whole tuning up the band thing that nobody knows. There's a special technique in there.
We also got Taz on AEW Dark, huh?
Yes.
I'm pretty excited about that.
AEW Dark, we got, well, here comes the pain. We got good old Taz coming on the show. Oh, man. I can't wait. The show's in Philly. Taz is on commentary for at least one match.
We need someone he can make fun of that frosts his hair, like he did with Cole.
Yeah. Oh man, that's going way back.
He should just start taking shots at Corey Graves. That'd be awesome.
Oh, fantastic! That would be so fun. They won't do it because people go, oh, they're so petty. Anyway, last person I want to ask about because we didn't get too much into Raw, but in a general sense, I need to know this. What do you guys think about Angel Garza? Or is that the guy? No, Humberto Carrillo. I'm sorry, Angel Garza. You guys are related, and I keep mixing you up. Humberto Carrillo with his little fucking dimple out there. Thank you, Tony. What do we think about him? Is he his first match on Raw was against the Universal Champion? They have
because in his promo he threw some shade at Rollins, and then
right. But I mean, this is that doesn't happen every day. Like
right.
The Street Profits were on Raw for 6 months before they got a match. This guy's his first night, and he's wrestling Seth Rollins. It's big.
Very much like Angle and Cena. Like when Cena.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's very much like a hey, the new rookie coming in. Because I mean, he did pretty well. He has that fucking.
And he got his respect at the end of the match.
And that moonsault that he does. Holy Jesus.
I thought it was a great match. Those two put on a hell of a show.
And that's the thing. When
left to their own, like the Grand Canyon, man, holy shit!
And he doesn't even. If you notice, like some people, like you got to smile to get a dimple. This guy just needs to talk. He just needs to move his face a little bit, like when Lex Luger used to bounce his pecs up and down. Angel Garza or Humberto Carrillo can just do that little thing. He can just do a little whoop, and the dimple sucks in. Like it's such an easy thing for him to do.
He's the guy with the face.
He is. See, we were talking about this in the chat. Nobody knew who Humberto Carrillo was. He's the guy with the face, with the dimple, with the thing. And it turns out he was.
Yeah, I haven't seen him yet, so I don't know. I will. There's a few things I missed.
For a 3-hour show, you can miss a lot of it, but I would go back and watch that.
Steve, another thing that you would love, like, first of all, the Street Profits were great last night. They were way over.
Oh, and I'm sure.
Montez danced with the fucking baby. That was the greatest thing.
He danced with a baby?
Like they both went into the crowd, and he saw this lady handed him her baby.
That's hilarious.
Dancing, and the baby's like his baby. Into it. And the baby's into it too. It was the funniest thing.
Legally, I think that's his baby. She surrendered it, and he accepted it.
It's adorable, but it was really awesome.
Is that Maria Kanellis' other baby?
Street Profits are something else. That like.
Well, listen, I like Angelo Dawkins a lot, but he reminds me of fucking my favorite mid-card guy who never got a shot, D'Lo Brown.
Right.
But Angelo Dawkins.
You're looking at the
but
Montez Ford. He's got charisma for days.
Montez Ford is going to be a fucking champion. Like, these guys are going to be tag champs, easy peasy, multiple times over. But Montez Ford, he's going to be like Intercontinental champion. He could be world champion. I don't know if he could be world champion. He couldn't be world champion right now. But when he gets his feet wet, I think he's got a lot of potential.
Well, look at his machinery. Otis is going to be the same thing.
Oh, my God. Otis is going to be... I was going to say he's the new Duke the Dumpster Drozy.
He's hilarious.
He's the... I don't even know what he is the new... He's like the new Scotty Too Hottie, I guess.
The dancing shit, the jiggling... Oh, my God. Him and Big E.
Was so funny. That I saw. That was funny.
Yeah, I mean, that's just wonderful. And now,
that's what makes television. That's what it's all about.
Xavier Woods has a... Yeah, Xavier Woods has an Achilles tendon injury. He got it last night at the house show.
Who does?
Xavier Woods.
His Achilles heel is his actual Achilles heel.
Yeah, unfortunately. So if it's really bad, he could be out 9 months to a year.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, but maybe this is an opportunity for Heavy Machinery in the New Day. Like, if Otis tries to like slide in as like the third New Day guy, I like him and Big E interacting. I don't know why. I think just two big burly guys air humping the shit out of everyone.
I'll tell you though, I want Scotty to come in one day and just do the worm with.
Yeah, how easy would that be? Bring him out, give him payday. Oh, that would be great. I would pop for the worm and the what are they? The caterpillar. The caterpillar. That's what they call it.
Which is also because of if it's a piece of
heavy machinery.
Yeah.
It's a piece of heavy machinery. Steve, do we got to get going?
It's top of the hour. We should wrap.
Wow.
Look at that.
Any updates we should give our listeners regarding?
Nothing right now. We're still working on it.
Excellent.
It's a process, that's for sure.
Work is being done. Maybe somehow we can get that old school animation of the little guy on the street sign under construction, and it's just the little on every website ever for kids. You don't know this. Back in the 90s, you could just drag and drop that shit on a page and say it was under construction, even though you didn't do shit. So it would just be this little guy digging with a jackhammer. Sorry, guys, come back later. This
Except we got to make it so it's Fandango and Tyler Breeze who dressed as those guys on.
Oh, those guys. Oh, man. Back down to NXT. I guess we'll do all of our plugs and get this shit out of the way. If you asked a question to askthewarreport@gmail.com or hashtag askthewarreport, our keepers of the questions are not here to remind us to read the questions. So when Kat and Amanda come back, we will answer those questions that were left in the inbox or left in the hashtag askthewarreport. If you're following us on social media, or if you're not, rather, you should follow us at tagmeadate, tagmeadate, no spaces, it's all one word, tagmeadate. It's the same on YouTube. If you go to youtube.com, type in tagmeadate in the search bar, you'll find our channel. Subscribe, hit the bell. You'll be notified when we go live or when we upload new videos. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on a bunch of stuff. Just look for us there. We broadcast live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, 7 p.m. on Eastern Time, Tuesday evenings. And again, Daylight Savings Time is not next week. It's going to be the week after, is when it'll start to affect our show. So if you're somewhere outside the U.S. or somewhere that doesn't follow the Daylight Savings Time standard, you're going to have to change your clocks on in order to watch up, or just be aware that you got to tune in the show an hour earlier or later, depending on where you are. In the meantime, you can follow our podcast here on all the major podcasting platforms. We got SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, the iTunes Apple Podcast repository, the Google Play, the Android repository, as I said, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Spotify, and probably somewhere else as well. So just look for us, Tag Me a Date. It's either under Tag Me a Date or the War Report. We use them kind of interchangeably just so people know that the War Report and Tag Me a Date are affiliated. So look for one or both of those. And again, tagmeadate.com is absolutely free. With a roster of over 75,000 superstars and divas worldwide, you too can find your tag team match on tagmeadate.com. You can use the app that is currently in the Android marketplace. iTunes is being updated. We need the little graphic of the guy with the jackhammer again. And the website. And again, we're working on some technical issues in the background here, so please be patient with us. If you have any issues or any questions, please reach out over social media. You can send us a DM. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. But just keep following the show, following the social media. We'll keep you guys updated on not just what's going on in the podcast, but what's going on with the website. And we'll be right back here on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, all the places that we stream, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, next Tuesday evening. So I hope you have an enjoyable rest of your week. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next Tuesday for another edition of the War Report, brought to you by TagMeAndDate.com.